Hey there, thanks for being here. So this is the real estate market update report for the city of Cape Coral for February of 2024. This first month has already flown by. It's the first week of February. And in this video, I'm going to be going over a lot of the facts and the figures and the stats of the Cape Coral real estate market, specifically to what the stats of the market were for the last month. So mainly talking about January of 2024. I'm going to be breaking things down by a lot of different categories. We'll talk about single family homes. We'll talk about condos, golf access properties, lots, and some other things. And I do one of these monthly market report videos every single month. And that's in addition to the weekly videos that I put out on just general informational topics on all things regarding Southwest Florida. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, please reach over and hit that subscribe button. If you're at all interested in Southwest Florida, I try to put out a lot of really good, useful information for you, and I really want to create a lot of value with this YouTube channel in the hopes that when you do have a real estate need, if you're buying or selling a property, residential or commercial, here anywhere in Southwest Florida, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Bonita Springs, Punta Gorda, wherever, maybe you'll think of me and you'll reach out to me. My contact information is down there in the description of this video. You can call, text, email me anytime, and I'll be happy to discuss your real estate goals with you and tell you how I might be able to help you out with those real estate goals. So with all that said, let's get right into this. I like to start off these videos by going over the lowest price sale and the highest price sale for the entire city of Cape Coral in the month previously. So we're talking about January of 2024. So let's get right into it with the lowest sale that occurred last month. All right, so the lowest price sale in all of Cape Coral last month was this little condo over on Vincennes Street. It's in the Miramar Arms condo community. It's a little 2-bedroom, 2-bath, just under 900 square feet, so it's a smaller unit. Looks like the sellers inherited that condo, and it needed quite a bit of work done to it. It was built in the early 80s and just needed some things in there, but they did price it very aggressively at $120,000. That's one of the lower prices that we've seen around here, and because of that, it did end up selling over list price. So they sold it at $127,500 and $7,500 over list price. So congratulations to the buyers and the sellers on this property. I'm sure there's some work to be done there, but I'm sure it'll look really nice once they get done with it. So congratulations to those folks. Just for fun, I'm going to also go over the lowest priced single family home that sold last month, and it's this property over at 1428 Southwest 11th Avenue. This property was listed at $250,000, and it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1992 built wood frame home. So this was a stick-built home, a stick frame home, as opposed to a concrete block home, which is the vast majority of the homes down here are built with concrete block. And it looks like this had some newer things in it, new AC, a newer roof and water heater, but it did need quite a bit of work in there, and that was reflected in the price. Like I said, it was listed at $250,000, but sold for $195,000. So probably needed a decent amount of work in there. But congratulations to the buyers and the sellers on that one. It's a really good buy. Anytime you can get a single family home these days under $200,000, that's incredible for the city of Cape Coral. All right, so let's go over the highest price sale of the month. And the highest price sale in the entire month of January for the city of Cape Coral was this beautiful home over at 2416 Southwest 49th Terrace. It was on a great big corner lot on a golf access canal. This home was built just a few years ago in 2018. 6 bedrooms, 6 full bath, just over 4,500 square feet of living area. It had this gorgeous pool package right there on that corner canal. So tons of water frontage. And this home was sold fully turnkey furnished, was listed at $3.5 million and sold in just over 2 months at 3.42. So that was the high mark for the month of January for Cape Coral. And congratulations to the buyers and sellers and their agents on that purchase. That is an absolutely gorgeous house. And it's good that we're seeing these $3+ million sales. If you've watched some of my other monthly market report videos, we've been having consistent multiple $3+ million sales in the city of Cape Coral every single month for the last few months. So it's good to see that continue. And again, congratulations to the folks that purchased this beautiful property. I'm sure it's going to make some really great memories in years to come. This is a really, really cool place. All right, so that out of the way, let's talk about some overall market stats, and then we'll break things down by category. I'll talk about single-family homes, condos. We'll go into the Gulf access properties. We'll do vacant lots. And something a little bit different that I'm going to do this month is tell you a little bit about the rental market and what homes are currently renting for. So let's get right into this. This is the overall market stats for everything residential-wise in Cape Coral. All right, so believe it or not, it's kind of counterintuitive, but the month of January, we usually see fewer numbers of sales of properties, and there's a reason for that. There's a lot of activity in January, but if you think about it, closings usually happen, a month or 2 months after somebody initially shops for a property and contracts on it. So the closings that we're having in January are mostly a result of the properties that went under contract in November and December. And traditionally with the holidays, people aren't shopping as much during those months. So it makes sense that we have a fewer numbers of sales in the month of January, and then it really explodes as we get into the spring months and late winter months. So this year was no exception. We had 296 total residential sales in the month of January. That's down from 424 in the month of December, so it's down a little bit, but again, I expect that to spike right back up as we get into February, because after the first of the year, people really start shopping heavily as we get into seasons. After January 1st, people really start, my phone starts blowing up, I know, when I'm showing property, it seems like every couple of days, so we'll expect those numbers to go up. But of those total properties that have sold, 18 of them were over $1 million. So it's good to see the high end of the market still doing very, very well. We've seen that consistently the last couple of months. There were 2 properties that sold over $2 million. The one that we went over at $3.42 million, but there was another property that sold at $2.3 million. And the lower side of the market still is showing some property sales as well. We had 14 sales under $250,000. So really there are properties selling across multiple price categories. Now, when we talk about the median price, and again, this covers everything. So we're talking about condos, single-family homes, on-water, off-water properties, everything together. The total median price for a residential property in Cape Coral last month was $410,000. And if you check out this chart, I mean, we've been really, really flat for the last 12 months. Really, the last, I would say, close to 24 months. Our pricing has been very, very flat in terms of median sale price. $410,000 is up from the month of December at $385,000, but it's really in line with a lot of the previous months in the last 12 months. We've got $410,000 is exactly what we had in April of last year. So it's really stuck in that $380,000 to $410,000 range on a month-to-month basis. And pricing has really, really been flat over the course of the last 12 months, and we'll continue to see that as we get into some of these different categories of properties. So that's the overall market for Cape Coral. Now let's break some of these down by categories, and I'm going to start with single-family homes. We'll start with the off-water single-family homes, and then I'll talk about the Gulf access properties. I know a lot of the viewers out there are interested in the Gulf access homes, but let's start with the off-water single-family homes. So the off-water single-family home market makes up the largest segment of largest category of property sales that we see on a monthly basis. So again, out of 296 total sales, off-water single-family homes accounted for 176 of those. And that's down from 310. We saw 310 of these sales back in December of last year, of 2023. And in January, we're at 176. So we're going to see that across all property categories. We just had a little bit fewer closings in the month of January for the reasons that I previously stated. And so it's not an alarming trend or anything. We'll see those numbers bump right back up as we get into February and March. But I did want to talk about a subsegment of this particular property category, and that are new home sales. So again, we had 176 single-family off-water homes sell in the month of January. Of those, 100 of them were brand new construction properties, and what I'm using to classify as brand new is 2020 or newer. So that's 57% of this market. So this is a big segment of the market, but if you're sitting there with a property that's maybe a little bit older and you're thinking of selling it in the next couple of months, just keep that in mind. A healthy majority of this property category, of these properties that are selling, single-family off-water homes, are brand new construction homes. So, the previous month in December, 50% of this market were brand new construction homes, and last month was 57. So these numbers are still looking really good, but a lot of these properties are brand new construction homes. So you need to keep that in mind. If you are selling a little bit older of a property, you need to make sure it looks good, and you need to make sure that it's priced well, because it's getting a little bit tougher to sell these resales with all this new construction property out there. In terms of the price for off-water single-family homes, the median price across the board of all property types of single-family homes that are not on the water was $380,000. Now that includes homes with pools and without pools, and so I'll break that down. And $380,000 is up from $375,000 in the month of December, but it's really been flat over the course of the last 12 months. If you look at this chart, this is the 2-year chart. You can see we've kind of waved up and down. There's reasons for that, just busier parts of the season and things like that. But we really hit a high point for these off-water single-family homes back in spring of 2022. But one thing I did want to point out is when you break these down by pool homes and non-pool homes, the median price for a pool home, and 52 of these did sell in the month of January. So we're talking about homes with pools but not on the water. Median price for that was $439,000. That's been pretty steady. That was the exact same median price that we had in the month of November. So that's been pretty steady in that low to mid 400s is where those pool homes are coming in. Without a pool, interestingly enough, that homes without a pool that are off water made up 124 sales this month or last month. And believe it or not, that's the highest it's ever been. That's the top median price that we've ever seen in the history of Cape Coral. It's still very flat. I'm not ready to call an upward trend. I'm not ready to call it an upward trend or anything like that, but we have fluctuated up and down. But for it to hit 365,000, that's the highest it's ever been. And so we'll see if that continues. I'm sure it'll probably fluctuate. It'll go back down and come back up, especially as we get into season with a few more sales, some of the higher end sales. But again, 365,000 is basically the highest that we've ever been for off-water pool homes. And keep in mind, that a lot of these are newer properties, and that could be one of the reasons that we have a little bit higher of a median price. If more of these brand new construction properties are selling than the resales, it's going to pull that median price number up a little bit. So a little bit more expensive for a newer construction home, and that could be the reason that we're seeing an all-time high this past month. All right, now let's talk about everybody's favorite category of property here, and that is the single-family Gulf access properties. So these are properties that are on saltwater canal with access to the Gulf of Mexico. And believe it or not, in contrast to the category that we just saw, we actually had a few more Gulf access homes sell in the month of January compared to December. We had 61 Gulf access homes sell in the month of January. That's up from 42 in December, but it's been pretty consistent really since the summer. It's been around that 50 to 60 mark, as you can tell. We're down in terms of numbers of sales. We're down about 62% from the high point. We sold 161 of these types of properties back in June of 2021. So a couple years ago, really it's been almost 3 years now, but we're down about 62% in volume, but that hasn't really translated over to the prices, and I'll get into that real quick. Now, I did want to mention, in contrast to the last property category, fewer of these homes were brand new homes. There was only 12 of these 61 Gulf access homes that sold last month were actually brand new construction, 2020 built or newer. Now, we'll probably see the number of these sales continue to go up as we get into the spring months. Traditionally, over the last 2 years, the number of sales, I'm not talking about the price, I'm talking about the actual number of properties that sold, have gone up. They've gone up about 40 to 65% from January into the high point of the year, which is usually around that April, May. So we'll see quite a bit more than 61 sell probably next month, and probably as we get into March, it'll be even more. So in terms of the median price for these properties, median price for the month of January was $775,000. That's actually down a little bit from December's. December was $804,000. But when you look at this chart over the last 2 years, again, we've had some ups and downs a little bit, but we've overall really stayed consistent since the end of 2022. There's some months in there that are a little bit wonky with hurricane and all that kind of stuff, but we've come down a little bit from the high point. The high point price-wise was back in spring of 2022, and we're down a little bit. The high of 2022 in March of 2022 was $900,000. That was the median price for the month of March in 2022. So we're down about 14% from that high a couple of years ago. But expect those prices to probably start to tick up a little bit more as we get into the spring and late winter months. That's traditionally what happens. Just like the number of sales go up as we get into March and April, the price generally goes up too as more of the more expensive properties start selling. Same thing with the number of sales the last 2 years. Our median price actually went up 9%, and 9 to 15% from January to the high point again, which is in usually April or May. So we'll expect to see the number of sales of Gulf access properties and the price to probably tick up a little bit, but by and large, $775,000 is a pretty good measure for the average move-in ready Gulf access home. That's not too brand new, not too old, and not too updated, but still move-in ready. So $775 is a pretty good measure if you're looking for a Gulf access home these days. All right, so let's move over to condos, and for condos, I'm going to lump everything in together. So I'm doing on-water, off-water, condos, high-rises, mid-rises, low-rises, townhomes. I'm lumping all that in together because quite candidly, this is not a really big segment of our market right now. In terms of numbers of sales, we've not seen a lot of condos sell on a month-to-month basis. Condos typically sell more in the spring months, and so we'll look forward to that. But the number of condos across the board that sold last month in the month of January 2024 was 27, and that's down from 37. So again, a little bit over 24 condo sales is not a lot considering the market, the residential market. So we've got about 296 sales last month, and only 27 of them were condos. And in terms of the number of sales over the last 2 years, if you look at this chart, our high point was back in April of 2021. We sold 132 condos in the month of April in 2021. So we're down about 79.5% in terms of the volume of sales from that high point. But again, condos are a type of property that sells more for, their seasonal residents are usually the ones buying these condos. So it's the folks that are down here for the winter and spring. That's generally when they're here. That's generally when they're shopping, and that's generally when they close on these properties. So we'll still see those numbers of sales go up fairly considerably as we get into the later months of our main season. If you look last year, the number of sales from January to the high point of the season, the number of sales actually doubled. So if that happens this year, we've got 27. We can expect to see probably closer to 60 or more monthly condo sales in the coming months. In 2022, it went up by 70% from January to the high point of the season. So I fully expect that we'll see that again this year. So we're going to look forward to March, April, and May. In terms of the pricing, something to keep an eye on these prices. The median price for the month of January for condos was $282,000. That's up a little bit from $267,000 in the month of December. Really, overall this year, pricing has been kind of muted. In addition to the lower number of sales, we haven't really seen a significant amount of the higher price sales to drag that median sale price up. We're in that mid to 200s range. We've been that way basically all year, but we had been consistently going down for most of the year, and then we had a good month in November here, and then it went back down in December, and now we're up a little bit more in January. And again, that'll probably go up a little bit more as we get March, April. And believe it or not, in comparison to single family homes, which kind of peaked out, at least price wise, in 2022 for the most part, condos, the peak was last year in April. So we sold the highest median price for condos, for monthly condos, was in April of last year. And it was an all-time high of $302,475. And so we're down about 7 to 12% from that high point last year. And I think there's several reasons for that. We've seen consistently the condo listings that I've had, every single one of them this year, really within the last few months, the HOA fees have gone up a fair amount. In some cases, it's nearly doubled. In some cases, it's gone up 25 to 40%, really. And there's reasons for that. It mostly has to do with insurance in the wake of the hurricane. But it's getting a little bit more expensive to have a condo in terms of the monthly holding costs, and that could be pricing some of the buyers out of the market, which is why we're seeing fewer numbers of sales and a little bit more of a muted median sale price. But again, we anticipate that'll go up in March, April, May. Based on the last 2 years, how the market's reacted in the last 2 years, we could fully expect to see prices increase by about a 2 to 6% in terms of the median sale price in March, April, or May. So we'll probably get up 2 to 6% in prices in the coming few months. In terms of the higher end of this condo market, there was only two sales last month that were over $400,000. One was in Cape Harbor, the high-rise, beautiful high-rise on the marina there in Cape Harbor, sold $655,000. And the other one, believe it or not, was a $1.25 million beautiful condo over in Tarpon Point, which is another high-rise on another marina down there in the southwest section of Cape Coral. So those were the only two sales that we saw in the last month that were over $400,000. But again, as we get into the spring months, we'll probably see some of these some more of these high-end condos start to sell as these more affluent seasonal residents are down here shopping right now, and might even have some properties under contract right now that'll close here in February and March. So we'll look forward to that. But again, overall numbers and prices are down a little bit on condos right now, and again, I think that has to do a lot with the HOA fees going up. All right, so let's talk about vacant lot sales. Believe it or not, over the last 12 months, the vacant lot sale market has been pretty healthy, at least for non-golf access lots. Still a fair amount of these non-golf access lots transferring on a month-to-month basis. But we did hit the lowest month in January. It's the lowest number of sales that we've had since February of last year, when we were still dealing with the hurricane. We only had 150 off-water lots sell last month. That's down from 191 in December. If you look at this chart over the last 4 years, this is a 4-year chart right here, you can see when we kind of exploded there in the season of 2021. That was definitely when we were having the most sales. We were having 400, 500, 600 sales a month back in 2021, and it's kind of come back down here. You see the dip right there as we got into the end of 2022. That has mostly to do with the hurricane. It spiked back up and then it's bounced around a little bit, but we're overall number of sales are down from where they were in the last few months. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the interest rates. You can kind of time this chart to exactly when those interest rates started to rise up, so the folks are not building these new construction houses as much as they were, and so we're just selling fewer vacant lots, off-water lots right now. Selling fewer Gulf access vacant lots as well. There was only a handful of those sales at any given month this last 12 months. And again, that coincides with the interest rates rising. Not as many people building these big Gulf access homes. The ones that we have been selling are really high-end lots. We've seen a lot of higher-end Gulf access lots that have sold. But getting back to the off-water vacant lots, the median price for those 150 sales that we had last month was $47,000. That's up from $44,000. But really, it's been in the mid-40s really all year in the last 12 months. Jumping back to the Gulf access lots, there were, again, only a handful of properties sold last month, so it really is not a good judge of where the actual median price is. But if you look at those handful of sales, the median price was $235,000 last month, $235,000. That's been pretty consistent all year. It's bounced from about $215,000 to $245,000. So again, that segment of the market seems to be pretty flat, as well as the off-water lot market. So Lots are still doing, we'll probably see some more lots sell, just like everything else as we get into the spring months. But you know, January was a low point since February of the previous year, but we'll see that probably bounce back up and probably see over 200 lot sales, maybe in March or April, as we get into the season. You know, I wanted to touch on something in this month's market report video that I haven't discussed at all in the last 5 or 6 of these monthly market report videos that I've done, and that's the rental market. So I think this is important to look at, you know, whether you're an investor and maybe looking at picking up 1 or 2 properties to rent out and have as a rental investment, or maybe you're somebody that lives up north right now and you're looking to come down here and rent for a year just to make sure you like it, which I can't imagine you won't like it here. It's beautiful here, but nevertheless, the rental market I feel like is an important part of our overall Cape Coral real estate market. So let me tell you a little bit about what rents are looking like right now. If we look at everything together, so all different property types, single family homes, condos, duplexes, triplexes, all that kind of stuff. Of the data that I have, the average rental price was $2,150 a month. And if you look at this chart, I mean, our rental rates have gone up considerably since around 2020 when it was under $1,500. We've come down just slightly over the last 12 months or so, but we've remained pretty high. Rental prices have remained high, and that's just the nature of the situation of our overall real estate market right now. There's not a lot of properties out there for rent, so the supply is still pretty low, and the demand might not be as high as it was, you know, a couple of years ago. But the supply is still really low, and so that's consistently keeping our rent prices fairly high. If you want to break this down a little bit, you know, the average single-family home is renting for $2,300 a month. Average condo is renting for $1,700 a month. And if we want to look at that even further and break it down by number of bedrooms, your average one-bedroom house goes for about $1,400 a month right now. If you want a 2-bedroom unit, that's averaging out at about $1,700. 3 bedrooms, $2,150, pretty close to actually it's exactly what the median price is across the board. Most of the properties out there are 3 bedrooms, unless you get into condos, a little more 2-bedroom condos than 3-bedroom. But if we want to talk about 4-bedroom properties for rent, they're all the way up to $2,400 a month. So rents continue to be high. I don't foresee that coming down in the near future anytime. It might relieve some of the pressure as we get some of these bigger new construction apartment buildings completed and opened up for the general public. That might put some downward pricing on the overall rental market, but you know, at least for the foreseeable future, we'll probably remain above that $2,000 a month for the average place, and that's good. If you're an investor, if you're a renter, you're maybe not so happy about that, but that'll continue to be, at least for the foreseeable future, it'll continue to be a fairly high number. So I think what we're seeing is across the board, at least from a pricing perspective, a median sale price perspective, our prices have remained relatively flat for the last 12 to 18 months. And certainly the activity and the number of sales has gone down, but it hasn't started affecting the pricing just yet. I think that's a result of basically sellers holding onto their properties longer and their unwillingness to make the reductions necessary to sell these properties a little bit faster. It's certainly taking longer to sell properties. Properties are sitting on the market longer, and as a result, more properties are becoming active. And that takes me to my next set of stats, and I want to show you this. Check out this first graph. So this is single-family homes, active listings of single-family homes. And you'll notice this is a stark difference to that flat pricing graphs that we saw in the other, for the median sale price on these other categories of property. These are just single-family homes altogether of all different shapes and sizes. There was 2,229 active single-family homes on the market in January, and really that's been a month-over-month increase since all the way back at the low point back in 2021. If you want to move over to the condo graph, same thing. So we've got fewer properties on the market condo-wise, but remember, we're only selling about 27 of these properties every single month, and in January we had 216 active listings on there. So the supply side is definitely going up. We've seen that month over month. going all the way back to 2021. And I'll show you the other graph that's a little concerning to me as well. And this is a 10-year graph of all of the active residential properties in the Cape Coral real estate market. And so this is including everything, single family homes and condos. 2,445 active listings, residential listings in the month of January. That's a high point for the last 10 years. I mean, we've set consistently higher points since September of 2023. So September of 2023, we've eclipsed the last 10-year high, which is back in January of 2019. And we've consistently gone up for October, November, December, and now January. And I'll tell you, even though the pricing has been flat, that can't really continue with the supply side continually going upwards. We're going to have to see some reductions in pricing eventually. One of two things are going to happen. Either we're going to get some reduction in interest rates and the demand side is going to go up, and that's going to keep our pricing flat, or our pricing is going to have to start going down as this supply side continues to move upward. How many more months that we'll have of this flat pricing, I'm not really sure. Certainly, I think it will speed things up if the economy starts to take a downward turn and more people can no longer afford to hold onto these properties for longer. They're going to have to start making reductions in order to get their real estate liquidated. So if we see the economy go down, if we see the stock market kind of going down, we'll probably start to see these prices for both single-family homes and condos really across the board start to fall. We'll see what happens with the rest of February, March, and April. Hopefully, we can get the supply side down a little bit, and the demand will go up. We'll get some more closings and maybe keep us on at least a flat trajectory price-wise. But it's definitely concerning to see the supply side so high these days. So if you're a buyer in the Cape Coral real estate market right now, what is my advice to you? What should you be thinking about? Well, it's going to kind of mirror, my advice is going to kind of mirror what I've said for the last few months, and that is, you're able to take your time a little bit more right now than you were a couple of years ago. Certainly there's more active inventory on the market, so you can choose. You can be a little bit more choosy than you have been, and you can negotiate a little bit more than you have been. You've got a little more power now than you've had in really a long time, probably 4 or 5 years. And so take your time and pick the right property and make sure you're negotiating your price. I don't think you're going to be able to go in there and whack 20%. Don't expect to whack 20% off a list price or something like that. I still don't think we're quite there yet. But you have some negotiating power, and you should use that weight and kind of try to get the best deal for yourself for the best piece of property. If you're getting a mortgage, your interest rates are kind of still high, so make sure you're shopping for different financing alternatives, whether it's a adjustable rate mortgage that you can maybe refi out of down the road in a few years when the interest rate comes down, or even if you've got some local bank contacts and your credit score is good and you can find something like a portfolio loan at a reduced interest rate, definitely go around there and shop. Talk to multiple mortgage folks and try to find yourself the best deal possible. The interest rates that we're dealing with right now, I just looked it up today, and these interest rates, these high 6, low 7s interest rates are the highest they've been since 2001. So, I don't think it's going to continue for much more. It sounds like the Fed's going to start reducing rates later this year, and hopefully that will translate into lower mortgage rates as we get into the third and fourth quarter of 2024, but we'll just have to see. You need to also be aware of the insurance rates. Make sure you're shopping insurance rates. We're having more private insurers come into the area, especially for flood insurance. And the private insurers, by and large, that I've seen in the last few deals that I've done, have started to be very, very competitive against the National Flood Insurance Program policies that we've seen prior to 2021, October of 2021, when that big FEMA change came through. So make sure you're shopping insurance rates as well as mortgage rates, and just make sure that you're out there shopping properties for finding the best deal possible. You've got, the interest rates and insurance rates are up a little bit higher, so you need to use what power that you have now in terms of the price side of things to try to negotiate the best deal for yourself, so you're making sure that carrying cost isn't going to be overly burdensome for you. So that's my advice to buyers right now. Okay, so if you're a seller in today's Cape Coral real estate market, what are you going to be looking out for? What do you need to do? What's my advice? Well, the main thing you need to keep an eye on is this number of active listings. It's the active inventory that's out there. That's your competition, basically. If you're putting a property on the market today, you need to be aware of what else is out there, and you need to be competitive with it, either by price, or maybe some creative financing terms that you can offer a buyer, or you need to make sure that your upgrades, everything's looking good with the house, and you've got some new fixtures and things like that. But you need to be a lot more competitive these days than you have been in the last few years, and don't expect to get these big prices out of these properties, especially a little bit older resales. Like I said, with these single-family homes, these older single-family homes, you're competing consistently more and more with brand new construction properties. So you need to be competitive with that new construction inventory, either by price or by upgrades, things like that. So pay attention to what the active inventory is doing, and don't be afraid to negotiate. You're going to have to be willing to negotiate a little more on your price and terms than you have been over the last few years. You don't have as much power. You're not sitting in the driver's seat as a seller as much as you have been in the years past. So long gone are the days when you could just throw your property on the market, expect to get multiple offers overnight, and sell for over list price. That's certainly no longer here. And if I would be wary about letting your property sit on the market and get stale for longer and longer, because as these numbers of active inventory, active listings continue to go up, we're going to have to inevitably see some price reductions. And if you start chasing the market down, you're going to end up selling your property for a lot less than you would have if you just priced it accordingly at the beginning and being willing to negotiate a few points. So as a seller, you need to be cautious and just pay attention to what the stats are doing. And hopefully, if you have a good realtor like myself, they'll help you do that and keep you informed of what's going on. But so my advice to sellers is, just keep an eye on everything, and let's see what the market does in the next couple of months. But you need to be a little bit more willing to negotiate. You need to be a little bit more realistic with price than you have the last few years. Hey, will you do me a favor? Will you reach over and hit the like button on this video if I gave you any information that was useful to you? Hopefully you got a little bit out of this video. I do these again every single month, so I'm trying to update you on the market as best I can. But if you can reach over and hit that like button, that really helps me out. My channel is only a few months old, and we're getting some traction right now, and that really helps me out if you like the videos. And I encourage you to go back if you haven't seen some of my previous videos, not just the monthly market reports, but the informational videos and property tours that I do every single week. Click on my channel and go back through those. I think there's some good information back there for you. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, you need to subscribe. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. It's free, and it definitely helps my numbers out. And I think you're going to get a lot of good information. It's going to be useful to you. And like I said, I try to create some value for you with this channel, just in the hopes that when it does come time to sell or buy a property, maybe remember these videos and remember me and give me a call or text or email, whatever it takes. My contact information is down there in the description of this video. By the way, all these charts that you saw today, plus a lot more, are available. And if you leave me a comment down in the comment section of this video, I'll be happy to give you the link to it. You can download all those and see that raw data for yourself. So thank you so much for being here. I really do, again, appreciate you being here. And I'll see you on the next video real soon here in a few days.